Hello and welcome to the session of New Wave South Asian Edition. With me today I have Sawe, production designer
Hi.
from Bombay. I have Sara Vohra from Pakistan, and I have Ritima
Hello.
Burman, a graphic designer from Bombay, working in production design department.
Hi.
So hello and lovely to have all of you here, and lovely to have you, Sara, finally on
Finally.
Zoom. Yes. So it's really fantastic. So cool. So who wants to go first with their personal introduction? Who would like to start? Mm.
And Ritima is all ready for it.
Yeah, I'll start. We'll share. Hi guys. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. So I have been doing graphic design now since like 2017. And first I was still finding my space between set dressing and graphic design. Then I kind of found my niche. And now I think I've switched to, after doing a lot of contemporary films and period films, now I've kind of shifted my goal to doing period graphics, which involves a lot of research, firstly, of that certain period. Then it involves a lot of execution to detail, to, like every paper is important because papers aren't white always in period. So, yeah. And I basically, other than work, no, I'll tell you, like my work involves a lot of searching for material than actually designing. Like the execution part is much more important than just the designing, because designing is when you are just following, almost kind of following a reference. But the execution is more about getting the paper right, getting the printing method right, getting everything right for it to like pass the test on like camera. Then other than when I'm not working, I really like to thrift. I love street style. I love books. I love traveling. And I listen to podcasts sometimes. Then these are a few things that has inspired me to do what I do. Annie Atkins, you guys must have heard about her. She is the reason why I started doing, I think, what I do. And Grand Budapest is the film that pushed me into graphics even more. Like I was already going for a path in graphic design when I realized, oh, there is something like this. There is a whole world where people actually do just this as a career path, and not go into, like, production design is great, but this is also a career, like a separate career path. This is some of my work that I've done before designing like the smallest of things to also logos. Like sometimes the visual language of a film depends on visual language of a set, kind of depends on the logo I create, and then it goes on to the whole designing of the space, the same colors, the same things. So from that, but also then little details like a basic sticker on a glass, or just how like the smallest of details, a stamp on an envelope. So from the bigger things to the smaller things, everything kind of requires graphic design, from a billboard to a very small stamp. Then again, this is also some of the work that I've done: magazines, hoardings, packaging. A lot of it is packaging. Then even some graffiti that is required sometimes. So yeah, it ranges a lot. It ranges, like my work is a huge range of things, I feel, which through every project I kind of get to learn something different, and I get to absorb much more. I get to know about a lot of things. Like I did this film called Dr. G, and I think I know how gynecology works now a little bit, because I had to design all the forms and everything. So yeah, I really like that about it. Like I really like the different worlds that we go into, sometimes of crime, sometimes of drama, sometimes, like, I just worked on Archie's, so the whole thing is so fantasy based. We were creating every day through very, candy colored palettes, and it was Yeah, so it's really lovely, actually. I love what I do.
That's fantastic.
Thank
Yeah, and
you.
your work is really good. And yeah, so we will talk more about graphic design because it's also one of those departments in production design which not many people know about. Because I
Yeah.
don't think in general many people know what production designers do or what production design really is. And so we will get back to graphic design in detail.
Yeah.
After maybe Uma, would you want to introduce yourself and your work?
Sure. Uh, so yeah, like I am an architect actually by education. I work as a production designer now. Um, but frankly, getting into production design was never the plan. I mean, but I think a lot of things in my life have built it to get me here. And like since I was a kid, I used to read a lot, but I used to always read a lot of fantasy and, mythological, historical, all those sort of books where, you get to dive into those stories and imagine the world how you like. And I think that is where that whole interest about designing well designed spaces is started what started growing inside me. And that obviously like a regular path got me into architecture. And those 5 years of architecture really change you as a person. Like they
Mm.
mold you into a person that you start looking at everything around you with a very different perspective. You start seeing a pattern, some sort of a art design in everything around you. And so I started working in a design firm. After that, I worked for a year, but Sarah's gone. But then after working for a year, I think then I started realizing that 9 to 5 job was not sort of kind of my thing. And like actually, since I was a kid, I was a lot into the outdoors. I have played a lot of sports. I trek a lot. I got into trekking because of my dad since I was some 5, 6 years old. I've done my first Himalaya trek when I was 10. So, that has also, instilled this profound quality of appreciating everything, even in the nature around me. And I've always loved to be outdoors. So that sitting in the office working, though the designing part was really amazing, I was always looking for something that would also, feed to my hunger for all these adventures and getting outside and, traveling to different parts of the world. One of my very close friend that time was working with Zoom in production, and she introduced me to, like, she one day we were talking and she mentioned that why don't you try production design. I had no idea about what production design is that time, but I read about it. I did a few research, and then finally I mailed Parul my portfolio, like how typical architecture process goes. But obviously, then we met. My luck that time she was working on Daddy and she was looking for people in her team. And I always think that because I worked on Daddy as my first project, I actually continued working in production design because the kind of detail and designing that we've gotten into for that film is not always that happens on other projects that I've worked on. And so that is how I got into production design. After Daddy, I worked as an assistant on multiple projects. Like I worked on Golmaal, I worked on The Gentleman, I worked on Heidi. All of these projects, I worked not as a particular in a particular department. I worked as an art assistant week, and I got to work on different parts. I got to do graphics also to a bit. I got to do designing. Obviously, I was always part of the construction process also. I did sourcing to some extent, which also I think that has always helped me into understanding how production design as a whole functions, because until you know every part of it, I don't think you can be a production designer or, handle all of that together.
Mm.
So then after that, after working for 2, 3 years on all those films, these 5, 6 films, I worked as an assistant. I was part of everything. Then I realized that, okay, no, but my passion is still, more into spatial designing, architectural designing. So I started working as an art director or an assistant art director. And then I was specifically working more on designing construction details on that part of it. So I worked on 3.5. I worked on Tooth Pari. I worked on Golconda Tales. These projects I did specifically as an art director. And obviously, then I was more part of the designing and construction process on those projects. But also, like Golconda and Tooth Pari, definitely Golconda is not out yet, but we are all very excited for it because we've built somewhere around 25 to 30 huge sets
Wow.
for it.
And who is
It's
it? It's a series.
It's a web series. It's going to be coming on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Maybe end of the year or next year is what they're planning. And it's actually, it is also a period drama, but it's not specifically set in any time. It's very second century, third century sort of stuff.
Wow.
So there was lot of scope for creativity. We've like built crazy sets for it. We were, those 1.5 year was the, I think, best part. We've also built a really great team on that project. Like I realized after working on these longer projects that, you build a very good team with people that you work with, because we were some 15, 20 odd people working on it just in the art department. And not always we get that luxury to have that many people on a team. But all of these people, because of that long format experience, have become very close to each other. We always help each other out, even after the project, for other things that we work on or generally in life. Then Tooth Pari is out on Netflix.
Yeah, and I saw some of the images which you have art directed. They're stunning.
Yeah, so that was also, so like I said, because ever since I was a kid, I was very fascinated with all this fiction and mythological, all those sort of things. I like designing things that are not very just today's time, what we see around, like doing kitchen laga do, living room kar do. It's not what I like to do. But where I get to, design something out of imagination is what obviously keeps me doing production design. Then somewhere around 1.5 year, 2 years back is I started working as a production designer. So I work with one of my friend partners, Anisha. So we have a company together. We take up production design projects together. And we've done 2 web series so far and 1 film with Excel. That was the last release on Netflix, Friday Night Plan. So
I watched it. It was so cute.
yeah, it's a very nice, soft, easygoing story, but it was fun to work with. That also, we had a really young team on it working overall with even
it has
the DOP.
Young vibe.
Yeah, it has.
Cool. Yeah.
And then it was actually nice because, things were, because all these people come from a very specific department, education, background, all of that. Everything was very well planned. And everything was planned beforehand. So there were not a lot of last minute chaos. Yeah, there was very less, which was kind of a relief for the fact of it. But then I realized that it's slowly, I think, getting into Bollywood now. Like I worked on Extraction also as an assistant. And that is when I first time saw, like, how art department can also work organized way. Because they have these very strict, like once you pack up or once, you're done for the day, nobody will disturb each other. You will have that 1 or 2 days off a week. And, you will get to do other things in life even when you're working, which does not happen on many projects in Bollywood. But yeah, I think slowly it's getting in now.
But Extraction was an Australian project, was a co-production, Extraction is
But it was not an Indian this thing. We shot a part.
It was line produced in India. Like
Part of it was we shot in India. We shot in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
So other parts were done in Australia. Some of it was done over some few places in Europe also.
Yeah. It's always a joy to work with other countries because then you get time off and you get paid extra for your extra hours.
Yes. For outdoors also.
Yes, for everything. It's really nice. And you get a stipend, a good stipend.
But yeah, so that's been that so far. And I think, I don't know, it's been a good journey, and I don't think things can get more cooler than this, because I think finally I've found the thing where, there is no end to creativity in this, I think, in this department, because we every day get to design something new. Every director wants to make something new every day. Nobody wants to make something that's already been made. So that's, I think, the best thing for us to work on. So yeah, that's what it's been so far.
It's a fascinating journey, and your work is really good. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Now we come to Sara. Sara is an art director from Pakistan. And that in itself is kind of like a very interesting thing, because I've no idea about Pakistani film industry, though you've watched so many Pakistani serials and things. You've grown up with that because Pakistan is all over music, the art culture, television, everything basically. And now even the films have started traveling to big festivals and winning prizes. It's really amazing. So you, Sara, have to give us an insight to your industry, but also tell us about yourself. So yes.
Production design and art direction have magically found my way towards it. I do not belong to a art family or something like that. I was doing my computer sciences, but one day I ended up in a art school in Karachi University, and I was like, okay, this is something I want to be in, and studied film from there. And in my second year or something in a set design course, I love making miniature for that course. And one day, just like that, I was just sitting with a friend of mine who used to work in the industry, and I was like, I don't know after this what am I actually going to do, because I had no idea how. And he was like, I also made the miniature for him as well and for myself. And he was like, dude, you need to contact our directors out there. Just contact them. Because I was following the industry people and everything. And I just contacted the art directors and production designers who were already working in the industry. And one day I just got a call, went there, and I was like shunned with the whole thing. Okay, what is this actually happening? Because obviously I had a clue because we were doing assignments and all, but never knew that it has like this mass production kind of a thing, that it has like the whole setup and everything, because we used to work in like small room with like a small camera and thing. And I got super fascinated by it. I did not even know how to call set team. I always used to go and find set people around, never used to shout at them or call them with the voice or something. But now, and from then till now, I've been just a part of it, and the journey has been amazing. I worked 5 years with the senior most art director of Pakistan, that is Nida Akbar Khan. And she had been my mentor, my friend, and everything in the industry. And she has taught me a lot. From then, so I have generally worked on commercials only. And I never got the chance. I did get the chance to work on the long term, like a film or something. But after doing so many commercials, like a quick thing, like it's a 5-day, 6-day process, or like mostly a month process, not more than that. I could not do the film thing yet. So, but still, I've done like multiple commercials for like big firms and everything, and it had been a roller coaster ride, like truly a roller coaster ride, because I mostly do table talks, and oh my god, I was propping and working with the rigs and making rigs, how the shot can be taken. That's also the part of the production designing and art director somehow here in our industry, which is generally not a part of it, but it is. And creating kitchens or different, how many different kind of kitchens one can create is kind of a question mark at the end of the day. It's a question mark at the end of the day. Man, come on, there's something new need to be done. So, and putting something new every other time on those commercials has been something now a challenge as well. And working with different sorts of materials, because we can't like having those shots that are shown like it's a burger patty, but it's not a burger patty. It's a ketchup sauce, but it's not a ketchup sauce. It's a soap. It's a detergent, but it's not a detergent. Working on different materials and everything, it had been an extreme learning. And at when I started in like around in 2017 or 16, I did not had so many skills. I did not have so many skills. Now sitting at this point, I know how to design. I know how to. It have taught me so much. I know the architectural side of it. I know a lot of things that I never knew that I could go in. I know how to use all those softwares for designing and having that design language in yourself. It had been a crazy learning and a roller coaster ride, which I cannot like explain, but yes, that had been great. And our industry is obviously it's growing now. It is at a very extreme. It is at a very big, larger scale now. But when I started, it wasn't there, and we had to work from every bit of it, like doing everything. Everything falls in your department. Everything falls in every department, but it mostly used to be like that. Everything falls in our department.
That's what it is. A little bit like that in Bombay.
It is like that.
Everything
still
falls
like
in our department for some reason.
Our department, yes.
I have never
somehow
understood.
and it's only our director who needs to do like everything. Like we don't have like those vast budgets that we hire a different graphic designer person and an architect person who designs sets for us. No, it's an art director who does all the floor planning, who design from the tiniest poster to the extreme, like a graffiti wall or a mural wall or whatever that is needed at that point, to a visitor card or whatever that is. Designing all of those things to actually completing the whole thing, having a design language to it and completing the whole thing. And it is very difficult for us to like also work on locations. That is also one of a thing. Yeah, so I've worked, I don't know where I'm going. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I've worked on more than like, I guess, 50 commercials by now.
You work as an art director and a food stylist. Am I correct?
No, I don't work as a food stylist. I work as an art director. And
but you style the tabletop and also
we do the tabletops.
Yes. And the presentation and whatever is required, the textures around the product and everything. This is basically what you do as an art director. Mostly in advertising, correct?
Mostly in advertising, yes.
And you have not been able to commit to a long project. It's commitment issues. A long format.
No, it's not commitment issues. It's not commitment issues. I was on a project that I worked for it for like 4 months. I did all the research for it and made the board for it and did all of those things. And it had been a really, really amazing course line for me, but could not. I so want to witness that long-term thing that Oma just said. I was just wondering that, oh my God, I just skipped my chance because I really want to work on a long-term project, but I could not. No, I was a part of it, but I could not go through with it. So I was just like that. And it was obviously going to come and it was going to happen for sure. Care about the commercials. It's like things come and go so quickly that it's a roller coaster ride at that point. It's just that for those 1 week, 2 week process of that time, we don't have time for ourselves. We can't do anything but just that only. And having that much passion and working on those textures and paints and colors and doing everything is just now the love of my life. Like if I don't do it for like a good month, I think that I'm missing a huge, huge, huge part of my life because I think this is all I do now. This is all I want to live for. And by this, I have also came across this new thing that I do. It's like my passion project, my sidekick kind of a thing, that working with textures and that I learned from here have intrigued me so much that I started making these small products out of different things. Like I make stencils. I make like those molds out of silicone, and then I make things out of eco-friendly products like plaster of Paris and Jesmonite, and getting all those products and then making things out of it and then giving it the textures and all. So I have this cycling thing that I work on it as well now. So that's other passion thing that came across from here.
So the other thing which you are doing, just to understand, is something like a little business you have, or like a little studio?
Yeah, it's a little business kind of thing. I started doing it to just feel a little, what should I say, I love making things with my hand. I used to love working with clay, but I was not able to get it like that. The burner thing, I was not able to get it like baked and everything. So I started working with different. So I started it just for myself, but now it have gone through a business kind of a thing. I run it through online and everything. So that's what I do.
So you should right now tell us the name of your business and the online account or something. So if people are interested, they can get things from there. I think they are losing her.
It's Silverstone. A little, yeah. So I generally make ashtrays and platters, and because working for tabletop, I need platters all the time, so I make some myself, and also those vases and things like that. So I make those things that are generally needed for art direction and not available that easily. So you can.
That's fantastic. So now, I'm going to ask you this one question, which I'm going to ask each group. What do we do as production designers? Because that's very, very important for us to tell people what we do, because mostly what we do, nobody understands. It's just a thing, okay, one paint wall, 5 frames, 1 sofa, and that's our job. But what exactly do we do as production designers? Say, as a graphic designer working in production design department, as an art director, you have explained yourself, Sara. So I'm going to shift to Uma and Ritima now. So what do we really do? So who wants to go first? How would you, if you have to describe what you do to someone who does not understand at all what you do, how would you explain it?
It's, I would say, obviously as a production designer, we create everything that is visual on the screen. But yes, again, to somebody who doesn't know, like, to start as a layman, it's like we make the sets, we make the living environment for any shoot to be shot, or, But I also think that, as a production designer, obviously we read the scripts, we understand the details and, do all the research for it. But I think that it's a very big part of it also to understand the director's vision, what exactly he wants for people to see on the screen, and then getting that to life and making it, realistic enough for people, because people are going to see on the screen and then relate to the story that, it's written or shot. So it's very important, I think, to understand what the director's vision is, and then getting it to life, doing all the designing and everything, research that goes behind it. All those technicals are always there, but getting that vision right is, I think, very important.
And how important do you think production design is as a department in cinema or long format or advertising or anything? If you take out production design, what is there?
Obviously, it is quite important. Like, as a production design, we don't do only art, or we don't only do sets, because we have to somehow even take in the whole characters and make sure that complements the set that we build. We also have to consider the VFX now, because, when we build sets, then we have to imagine how, with the whole post and VFX and everything, how that whole thing is going to look like. And then obviously all the graphics, props, all of those parts are obviously there as a part of production design. But these other departments also, I think, come under production design somehow, because like we always say that anything that goes wrong, it always comes on production design.
design. But costume and makeup is also a part of production design.
Yeah,
In the sense,
yeah.
like, you know, if you have a decor and your costume is completely somewhere else with different colors,
Yeah.
it's basically
Or
in
if it
general,
matches too much also, like if it's
Yeah.
merging.
yeah, in the sense like it's a part
It's
like even
complementing
makeup,
each other.
yeah, everything visual comes under you know, space wise and even color wise, personality wise, because you need
Yes.
to know the costume to understand what space you're going to make, you know.
Yeah.
So all kind of all together. In most
I know.
cases there are production designers who also take care of the costume department and
Yeah.
makeup, hair
Yeah.
and because it's so together. Everything is just like, you know,
Even
feed off each
the
other.
colors and everything also, because, you know, like
I
even when
also
you see
think
something on screen, it's, you know, because the color palette also depicts the emotion of the film also, or any particular scene. As the movie goes by, there are so many different type of emotions that we go through, and obviously even in production design we have to account for all those things. We have to make sure that, you know, what we build and what we show has to also go with the story and the emotion of the film
Yeah, it's
also.
just a spatial translation of the
Yeah.
script. That's pretty much what we do. We have a script and
Yeah.
we transfer into a space, and that's the area, the space we create for basically the actors, for the director, for everybody to play out. Basically,
Yeah.
that's what we production designers do. And
I think if you take away production design from a film, you are actually taking away the character from a character. Like
exactly.
it's blank. You can't emote every emotion through your face. Like you'll have to have a setting, you have to have clothes. You can't be a farmer and act like a rich man. You know, there has to be a lot of character that we give in. And even for the actor to kind of feel into character, our spaces help a lot. Like as soon as that person comes in, that person feels like, oh, I belong here. This is me. This is
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
our job, to create an immersive environment for everyone to get inspired. I think for
Yeah.
the POP to get inspired, for the director to get inspired. When your set is good, when your base is good, then automatically, you know, the add-on like the DOP can kind of like just take it to a different level. The director can also think about various ways how he can shoot
Yeah.
the scene. The actors feel the part of it is such an important part of the film process, but something which is not many people understand what we do. That is also the point of this conversation, to kind of make people understand and give out this information about what we are and how many people work in one department. And it's not just one art director, not one paint job, not one decoration job. All of us come together to make something which is immersive and which is relatable to the narrative which is you know, you're watching. So yeah, it's a very important department, if I may say so myself.
Yeah.
But
It is like we don't know much about it. It is like even though I was doing architecture, I had no idea. But even though it's a very solid designing field itself, I had no idea about what production design is, because I think at least in India we are never really given any exposure to you know, any department in films for that matter. It's just all about actors, and maybe some people know about directors and some
and
writers.
DOP.
Yeah, but DOP also, I'm not sure a lot of people.
No, I mean, like, people know cameraman, like they understand camera and they understand somebody operating that camera. So they kind of understand that there is somebody doing something with the camera. The rest of the things is just automatic. Like we don't know who are these invisible people who come and who do jobs, right?
Yeah.
That's very, very true.
It's like we're magicians.
We are actually magicians, invisible magicians.
Yeah.
Also the fact, because we're
we create.
Yeah.
I was just saying that we create. We give birth to the director's fantasies, the script fantasies, and everything. We give birth to everything like that. For the set, the set is just a birth for the fantasies of the director. That's one thing.
That's a good way of putting it. The fantasy of the director is the set. That's actually true if you think about it.
Just create everything.
Yeah, that's correct. So coming to you, Ritima, because I started my journey in production design as a graphic designer on my
Oh,
first
wow.
project. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
I kind of have this, I feel very protective about the graphic designers who work with me, and I'm a big fan of graphic design and typography and all of these things. So you
Yeah.
have explained your journey about how you got in and what made you get in here. But like, have you studied graphic design? Are you a trained graphic designer? You learned it on the job? What softwares do you use? What's your process?
So I studied graphic design. I did my diploma from MIT Pune.
Hmm.
And then one of my seniors had worked with Dhara Jain on Tumhari Sullu. And it just came to me. Before that, I always wanted to work on cinema somehow, like background of cinema. So my brother is actually a photographer. So
Okay.
I kept asking him, I'm like, what do I do to get into this? I always found the world very fascinating. And my earlier thing was when I didn't know what it means so much, I wanted to become a cinematographer because that was the easiest word I think I could relate to. I also didn't know what production design or art direction was. Then once I got a call, I got onto, and that was my first film. I think Gully Boy was my first. And since that, I never felt like leaving. I was going into a space of, I think, UX, UI before Gully Boy, because that's what all graphic designers do after. I
Yeah.
think after school, everybody's just web designing nowadays. But yeah, and then I didn't feel like doing anything. And if you like, nothing else actually like resonated with me as much as this resonated with me. And what every film I think has a different process how we go about it, but mostly for period projects, we always do the research part first, very extensive research on each thing, each document. Like right now I'm researching on Gandhi, and I think I practically know half his life. I know him as a person. He appears in my dreams.
Wow, imagine that.
Celebrated his birthday, all of that happened.
Oh.
And yeah, like every document or every place he went to, everything that requires that much detail. I've had to learn languages. I think I'm going to learn Gujarati now because Gandhiji was Gujarati. So a lot of it actually goes into it. So I start with research and then actually designing the product, and then finding out through artificial methods how to print it in that sense. Like I can't print a newspaper which was letterpress printed in the 1880s right now, because that's really not possible. We don't have that big letterpress machines anymore in India. So how to get those effects in the design? I'm getting effects of letterpress in my design to be able to print it in offset and make it look a certain way. So every prop, now having said this is a separate newspapers and magazines. But now if I have to kind of design a passport for a film, a passport from Thailand or a passport from anywhere, like even Indian passport, to get the correct outside, to get the correct insides, to get the visa stamps done. So yeah, it requires a lot of forgery.
Yeah.
I've done money, I've done drug packaging, I've done a lot of things. So exciting. Yeah, and then I think execution and printing is mostly the part that we focus on the most, because that's the part that shows the most in camera. Like designing is okay. I think designing is imbibed in me being a graphic designer. But after that is what actually the challenges are, and you prop by prop, I think I discover the challenges. So there's no like particular method that I follow. Every film will have a different. While in Archie's, actually the designing was very important, because that's where we were designing fantasy graphics. Everywhere it was mostly things that were not charming things, not things that existed. So every prop, and now the biggest challenge that has come into my life is the clearance part of it. So all the
because
brands and everything. Yeah, so half of Archie's was also that for me, to get brands.
All Netflix shows, original shows and series. I think Amazon also, you have to recreate. It's a lot of work for graphic designer. When I was working on the series, my graphic designer had to, and you have like, everything is graphic design at the end of it, if you really see. And if you're making a new world, and if you're working with Netflix, so even if say you're in Punjab, shooting in Punjab, you can't really use things. You have to give them name, you have to print everything, whatever is in the frame needs to be an original. You cannot like use In films, you can do that. You can get away with it, you know. In films, you can use things from around and get away with it, but not
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Netflix
not
and Amazon.
learned kind of the rules of clearance also now. Like I
Yeah,
understand now.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
If I use a real poster, if I use anything from the internet and it's real and I use 5 of them, then it's okay, unless the actor is holding it or it's right and behind the actor.
Yeah.
But if I'm using one poster and I've changed it a little bit, which we generally used to do before, that's a infringement outright. That you can't do.
But you
But
can use the same poster,
yeah,
but you
which
cannot
makes my work
change it.
easier a little bit. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
in the sense. Yeah. Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I thought like you could tweak a little bit and that would work better because then it's
No.
no longer the original artwork.
No, but then you have to tweak it like
Yeah.
quite a bit for it to work.
Yeah. Because for the
Yeah.
series, I wanted to have this big mural of Harmandir Sahib Golden Temple because it's a series in Punjab and about Sikhs and all. And I had this book which had this beautiful illustration, which I couldn't really use it just like that. So my graphic designer, then we thought, okay, let's change this. And so it became a completely different artwork
Yeah, it
from
does.
what it was. But yeah, in the sense, that's a shame, but it was okay. But yeah, I understand. My graphic designer was very unhappy the whole time because he had just and he was not also your regular graphic designer in the industry. You know, it was his one-odd job, and he's like an actual, like what you would say, understand graphics and typography, and to
Yeah.
suddenly get all of that work and to meet deadlines, it's quite a feat. Huh? It's a very
Yeah.
underrated position, but it's a
Time.
lot of work, and it really
Yes.
elevates the production design so much when you have good graphic
Good
design
graphic
in your
designer.
sense. And by that, I also mean, correct me if I'm wrong, your canvases, your photographs, your murals, and everything comes under graphic design now. So as a
First,
graphic
I should
designer,
describe myself as a paper prop maker, I think. And then I'm like, no, but I do so much more. I'm also
Yeah.
doing the things, I'm also doing the visual language, I'm also doing the logo.
yeah.
That's not just that. Yeah.
What paper
sort of-
prop maker?
Yeah, like prop designer. Like that's the best way you can. I don't know. Like I deal with so much paper, so I used to think, okay, I'm a paper prop maker in a film. Like how to describe it to someone, right? And then I'm like, okay, most of the people have watched Gully Boy, so I now always give an example of that Fair and Lovely board on which spray painted that I have designed.
Yeah.
Like that's how I describe myself now. I think.
But it is like it's a lot of work. Like whenever we are looking for a graphic design, it's not very easy to find good graphic designers. And every time then when we're looking, we do ask them, do you know about execution? Do you understand, the papers and printing and all of that? Because just designing I don't think that is all that graphic designers do. There is a lot
There's a
more.
lot more to it. I mean, what texture you're going to use, what paper, even like what material you're going to print, say your canvas for the mural.
And even when we were working on Inside Edge, because the whole stadium and things in people's hand and all that is fine, but then the graphic designer also had to make sure to do everything on the costumes also, because they were not
because you have to
so then that whole fabric and then how to print it on it, or some things are always still last minute because it got cleared very late, so then how do you stick on it? Then it will not stay in the whole heat because we were shooting in the stadium open, and then it will come off, and all of those things. It's a lot that goes, obviously.
It's a lot of graphic design work for sure.
Well, for Pakistan commercial industry, we don't have like one person who designs it and get it prints and everything. So we do have few people who knows how to use the software but does not know the design language and how to get it like as the art director wants and what the theme of the thing is. So generally over here, art directors and production designers design them themselves, or their assistant who can design, who knows how to design and have that study of it. They design it, and then we give it to this one or two. We have some printer people around. So we just tell them, in fact, sometimes we even have to tell them the paper, that this is the paper that we need. This is like, they have some knowledge if you're getting a newspaper printed for sure. So that's going to be happening on that offset paper. But otherwise, we have to tell them that this is a photograph. We need this on a matte paper. We need this on this, and like it's a big mural. We need this on a flex that is not shiny and it's not turned down, so we don't get the lines. We have to have original matte paper and everything, this much grammage and all. So over here, it's something like that. Knowledge is also what comes from our director only, that we have to tell them that this is what it is and this is how it is needed, and we design all the things on our own. There are a few people, obviously, for sure, but they know how to use the software. For that, you have to go there and tell them each and everything. So it's better. And in this whole course of the timeline, I have learned all the softwares and everything on my own to design it, because I haven't studied graphic design at all, but now I know how to use it all and have this. So yeah, this is how it goes over here.
Yeah, but I think
It's kind
printers
of
in India also, you have to tell them everything. In the sense
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you get printed, but you also have to tell them like what paper, how. If you left
all
it
have,
there,
yeah.
God knows what you will get in the morning. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. But I think the only difference is that we have a graphic designer now
Yeah.
allocated in our team who takes care of that section, because that's a huge section as well. You know, so that way things become a bit more simpler. But before, like when I started out also, we didn't really have a graphic designer. Like I was the onset, I was doing graphic design, then I was doing continuity. So I was doing all of that.
Yeah.
That is how we were
It
trained.
goes same here.
But I think for commercials, even now,
Yeah,
there is
even now.
not really a graphic designer on Teams. I think we have a graphic designer mainly on long formats
Yeah.
more. For commercials,
Very selected commercials where you have to do a lot of brand.
Yeah.
yeah.
Those commercials we do graphics for. Otherwise, I
Yeah.
don't get hired for commercials at all. I would like to, but I don't.
Yeah, because it's mainly like a quick job and you don't
Yeah.
really, so your assistants in general, you know, you can figure it out. But with long formats, when you get into details is when you need an actual graphic designer, basically.
Yeah.
To kind of handle that entire, from your design to the execution to making sure these things come on set on time and everything is put up on time. Because, you know, time is also a very essential factor of our department.
Yes.
And it's always, sometimes everything is such a last minute thing, you know, everything is so last minute, despite of having the prep time.
Designers are always staying at the printer
Printers.
shop in the night, getting everything on set in the morning.
The
It's
lack
always
of,
like that.
yeah, it's pretty, like in Bombay, you still have people like printers, you know, who open
Yeah.
up. But when
Yeah.
you're working in other cities,
It's very difficult.
it's a headache because they don't understand the concept
Yeah.
of film and graphic design, and they have like million of other work, you know, the trainer work which they have to finish. Actual people who want graphic stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So when you're not in Bombay,
Giving them much more bulk orders than we do.
exactly. Yeah, and for them, they don't understand what our urgency is. You know? So
I have contacts here now, even in Karachi and then in Punjab, like in Lahore. Like generally, these are the two cities where we shoot. So I have contacts like both of the places that if I need something at 2 a.m. in the morning, I'll call them like, I need the shop open right now and get it done, please. We have to have those contacts too. It's something that comes in line too.
I think
have those contacts for everything.
Yeah, I think those contacts are maybe there in Bombay, but maybe now a little bit in Delhi. But you know, if you're shooting in other states in India, then you really need to get a printer for 1 month. Production has to give him money to make sure he's there and he's delivering. Because otherwise it becomes a headache. So with Ritima, with Archie's, you shot it in, I don't think it was shot in Bombay, right? So how did you do your graphic designing? How was the execution carried out? Where was it shot and where was your work printed and how did you manage to kind of like shuttle it?
So we got a good prep time. We did 3 months of prep on Archie's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I have two vendors who mostly when I work in period films, they are not film printers. They don't stay open at night, but they are there with me, my everything, I feel. So those two printers who I use. So most of the stuff was printed in Bombay before. We shot in Ooty, then we shot in Mauritius, and then we shot in Bombay. We built a set. The town square is a set in Bombay, in Dahisar. So yeah, I mean, the Bombay part was easy because, of course,
Yeah.
anything would just come. But Ooty, we had to do most of the things and take. And Ooty, we found a small printer, and he did a decent job. But most of our stuff was anyway, the execution had to happen from here because I wouldn't be able to do, the special props that we make there. I would have to do it here, give it a certain aging. Everything had to happen here and then only go. So for the first sketch, I was almost prepped before I went to Ooty. Only
So
the
when-
last minute we got done from Ooty.
So when you do like a big project like this, like a period project, do you have someone to assist you, or you are one woman army doing
Yeah. So on Archie's, we were 3 graphic designers, but we were about 5 of us doing graphics. So because we
Okay.
designed everything, we designed the flooring, the wallpapers, everything was designed. Yeah, in Archie's. So there was a girl called Ria who was just doing wallpapers and flooring because she found her niche in that. Then me and another graphic designer, Namrata, and Savni, we did the most of the graphics that were coming on. And there was another guy called Pranav who was doing all the illustrations for us, who was better at the illustration. Then we both took up one printer. I had one printer and Namrata had one printer, so we would do the printing jobs like that. Divided everything, but yeah, because that was a huge graphic project. It's like hopefully people will see how much work has gone into
I'm
it.
sure people will see it. Don't worry about that. And I'm sure like if it's Archie's, graphics is a very important part of it, because if you've read Archie's comics, I mean it's really like you have pop dates, you have like even there is a lot of graphics in general in the whole Archie's universe. So I can imagine how much of work graphic
And
design
I think I found God in Dhara, who's just pulled me through like every project, every Suitable Boy, Gully Boy, and Archie's I've done with her. And she also has a very strong graphical like she also loves graphics. So she's also like pulled us through with graphics, which is like she's like, give it more love, give it more love, give it more love. And we've given it all our love, I think.
Yeah, because you have to give love to the graphics, that is why like I
Otherwise
think
it doesn't come out right.
yeah,
Like
but
it's so much better. You can do something and you're like, oh, this is okay, this can pass off. But then if you give it love, you're just like, oh wow, okay, this is something.
yeah, because sometimes you normally like when you give something to print for a print, so most of the assistants probably would not even check. Okay, the work has been done. Come on, you take it. But it's as a graphic designer, I think it's kind of like comes with your job that you got to check, like check your print before getting it on set also, and to see your colors are correct. Yeah, because it's at the end of the day you can design whatever, but the output is what you see finally, and it should definitely match what you have been thinking. There were times that I would get printouts which have completely different colors only, and you're like, you never checked it. No, don't open it also. It's just like you roll and you get it to set. So I'm very glad now that there are like graphic designers like you and other who are there to handle this portion of production design, which is a very important part of production design. So now we come to production design not being a very conventional choice for anyone. Cinema in general is a choice not many, especially in South Asian communities and in our society, cinema is something which it's too glamorous. So the people are just like, they're just good looking people and that's all they do. They don't understand the amount of work which we do. And also, what was the reaction of your families when you first decided to get into something which not many parents or families know in South Asia, or for that matter, I think in the world? Cinema is not something you understand, just like that, because there is no knowledge apart from gossips of actors and celebrities. There's no real knowledge about like what goes into it. So how was it like when you first decided to get into production design or cinema first and then production design? How was it like? What was the reaction of your parents? So Sara, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so I remember I was coming home after my first shoot. Like this was first opportunity that I got. I told my mother and I went on a shoot because I studied film. So she had an idea, okay, so yeah, okay, fine, she's going on a shoot. But it was almost around 3 a.m. in the morning. And that was the time when I was coming back home. And my mother was out on the street, standing there, and she was like, "You are never going to do this again. You're not studying this. Study whatever you want to study. You're not there." I'm like, "Mom, please." So, oh my God, it's been, I don't know, so many fights and so many things to make them understand that this is it and this is all that I'm gonna do. It gives me life, it gives me adrenaline. Even after working 24 hours, I can, after completing a 24-hour shoot, I can still do, I still have energy. I have that energy in me to like sit and have a talk with the whole team for an hour and then go back home. So yeah, so I had to, it had been, I don't know, she still sometimes say, okay, what is this you do? This is what, you have studied so much, you have done so much in your life, and now all you do is this labor work. Look at yourself. What have you done to yourself? Look at your skin and all. I'm like,
yeah, the skin,
please,
the color of your skin is what the mothers are very worried about. But it's true.
The color of your skin. Look at your hands, you're so white. Look at your face. What is wrong?
You were always fair, but now you have become dark.
So it's been like, Ma, please, it was a 3-day outdoor shoot. I can't help it. No amount of sunscreen can help it after like spending 3-4 days of outdoor shoot. Nobody, no sunscreen is like created. So yeah, it's still a thing. And it's still a thing somehow sometimes, but now it's very pleasant in my family. But in the starting, oh my God, you cannot understand. It was so hard to make them understand that what pleasure it gives me to actually create something on the paper and then looking at life size and all workable around you. So it's a pleasure that I get that I cannot just let go out of. So yeah. It was a ride, but I come through it.
And for both of you, what was the reaction? How was it?
I think it's almost the same for everybody to start with. I mean, even though I had done architecture and, we do have a lot of these projects, group projects and all that we work from each other's house. So they knew that they were okay with all of, like, we also have these international competitions, NASA, for which we stay in college for 2 months and work on it because all 5-year students work on it and all of that. But then still, obviously, like you said, this whole preconceived notion about the film industry and shoots is always there. Like, even when I started, they would never in my 5 years of architecture, they have stayed up for me to reach home. But when I started working on films, they would stay up for me to reach, and I would come back in the night and I was like, guys, you have to sleep. Because they were also working that time and all of that. So like, I am not taking any stress. Why are you taking so much stress? And then after the first few months, they were like, what is this? What are you doing? Like, you're an architect. Obviously, like, you're an architect. It's a very white collar job. What is this? You are just running around, never, not eating on time, getting health spoiled, all of that. And then it does happen in the first few years. Everybody goes through it. But I think eventually we learn how to cope up with that life. And I think then when they slowly started seeing things on screen, started seeing what we make, somehow I've never gotten them on a set till today. But even watching at the things on screen and all, now they understand much better. Now they are okay with it. Now, because, over the years working and now working as a production designer, obviously I also can, manage things better, give more time and all of that. But obviously, yeah, it is difficult to start with anybody. Like, even now when we have assistants in our team, there are times when we tell them, like, we tell everybody, whoever is starting new, that, whenever, if you want, we have spoken to their parents
that too.
Don't worry, there are a lot of more people, there are more girls here, don't worry, there is nothing wrong happening. We are not doing drugs here.
Like on one set, I had a father of an assistant come to understand on set and meet me to understand, like, what is it we do? Because it's obvious, it's something such a mystery, what happens? Like, why do we spend 18-19 hours on a job and then
Yeah.
come back as if, like destroyed. Mostly it's
Yeah.
just you're destroyed,
Yeah.
and you're working for that in a long format. You need at least 1 month to recuperate after this
Yeah.
big, long, I think,
I
battle.
mean, I remember like there have been times when, staying in the same house for weeks, we would not even see each other because
Yeah.
I would reach home after they have slept. I would leave before they get up. So it's like for them, it's like, "Hey, where are you? Do you exist? Like, what is happening?" It's like, don't worry, you will see when it comes out. But now it's good. Now they're happy, they're proud of what I do. They tell others that, oh, dekho ye aa raha hai, and all of that. So now it feels good.
This is
Now,
the proudest moment. This is the proudest moment when my parents show what we have done to any of the other extended family members or their friends. Or look, my daughter did this. I was like, oh my god, this
Yeah.
like,
Credit name, that's
the
so
most
important to them.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the name.
The
And-
credit.
Yeah. And for you, Ritima, did you have any initial opposition or in general tension, or it was free flow?
No, actually, for me, what worked out with these hours and stuff was that I was in Bombay alone. My parents
Yeah.
in Calcutta. So that was never a thing. I would just message, okay, I'm back. But then, and I also have cousins who I told you, my brother was a photographer. So I never had that really. But yeah, and now they are again, as soon as Gully Boy came out, they were just like, oh, okay, we are proud of you. Now that baseline is set, now they're just like, okay, now you can take care of yourself. I know you're not doing something like I know what you're doing, kind of. So yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not they've just not been through my hectic days process. Like if if come back and
Yeah.
I'm ill alone.
Yeah.
I'm not with my
Yeah.
parents. So they've not
Yeah.
seen that.
I remember this one time, actually, when I was working on Daddy only, Oshim would give us such hard time. There was a time, one day in the night, I got up, like we were sleeping, me and my sister would share the bedroom that
You got
time.
you got an awesome nightmare.
Yeah, I got up, I was running around in the room searching for a Salmaika table. And I was like, no, what table, that table? And my sister was like, hello, what is happening? And
Yeah,
I was
because
like,
you were on set for a while.
yeah. So I was like, oh no, you are home. I was like, okay, now, okay, fine, I can sleep.
But I have these
That would happen.
recurring dreams after my projects also. Suddenly it will come like, oh my God, this set was supposed to happen and it's not happening.
Yeah,
The kind of like it's pretty hardcore once you
You
are.
do get dreams and nightmares. It's a
Yeah.
constant thing.
Yeah. In the sense, it's always like that anxiety. Did I finish
Yeah.
it? Did I not finish it?
I
It's
know.
still left. It's a very
It always
hard
feels
battle.
like there is, something more that I would
Yeah.
to do. And
Yeah, but this department, anyways, is a very stressful department. All departments are, but this specifically because it's real time, in the sense like
Yeah.
everything is happening real time. So, what is the thing which you guys kind of your tricks and tips to kind of like deal with this stress situation or anxiety? Like, what is it? Because I've seen in the new generation, this is a great, and I've learned actually because I didn't have any concept of boundaries before. I was not trained like that, so there was no concept. It's like, oh, you have to live for your job, you have to die for your job. It's like being just getting things done. That's the only thing which is important, in the sense that was how we were trained when I started out. But now I see this very nice way of this new generation is so much has changed, and also this boundaries, to have these frontiers for your mental health, which is very, very important, because what happens in this department is the stress doubles up more mentally than physically, though, for sure, but you can, after a point, you can combat it because you get used to it. But the mental stress and the mental anxiety which comes with this department, because of the timelines or shifting of things, how do you guys deal with all of this? Like, what are your boundaries? What are your frontiers? What is a no? Like, this cannot happen. Like, what are your no's, strict no's?
I think now, like now working as a production designer.
Before we start, like,
Wait. Are you saying something?
yeah, actually, I'm really sorry. I really need to rush right now because
Okay.
I have a recce I have to attend. I'm sorry, it was really amazing meeting you all and talking to you. I hope we stay in contact.
Yeah, but thank you for coming. It was lovely talking to you, and we'll definitely be in touch. All right.
Yes, let's be in touch, and thank you.
Yes.
Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone.
All right. Yeah. So, yeah.
So yeah, I was saying, so I think till the time I was working as an assistant, I don't think it was possible to do it to an extent that I do it now. But now working as a PD, me and Zanisha both, we also try to make sure that our team doesn't go through what we went through when we were working as assistants. And we, even at least on the prep days, we make sure that we give one day off, like off, no work that happens every week. And even in the starting days, it's possible to do it for the whole team. But when you have a big team and a more hectic project, and once we go on floor, then we also do like rotational offs. Like we give a few people off one day, then next, after 2-3 days, a few set of people, like that. We also try actually to because we feel that what happens is when we are working and there is nothing else happening in life, it gets more overwhelming. Like it gets really difficult to cope with that every day, just coming in, going out, doing same thing. So we also try these small things of at least in our team, that we celebrate whatever festivals that we miss out on, and all those things. So people get that little break. Like we work full day, but then that those last 1 or 2 hours, we give that time, everybody sits together, chill, thoda relax, enjoy. I think those things also help, because we've also realized, like, people who worked with us on a project where we follow all these things, we make sure that people get their time, have those boundaries. And then when they go work with other people, they've called us and told us that, oh, it's so difficult. Today it's this festival, but there is nothing happening. We miss working with you guys, and all of that. So, but also it gets difficult at times once we go on floor, because then other departments, everybody's timelines have to be matched.
Yeah.
But we do try to we also tell the directors and everybody from day one that, whatever is needed, we will get that done. But, this is a realistic time, and it will take this time. Like, we can't do a 5 hours job in 5 minutes. We can try doing it maybe in 2 minutes, but we can't do it in 5 minutes. We make sure now that we give that realistic timelines to people. Because that used to not happen before. Like, something the director wants and everybody would just run around, and it would be a mess. Then so we try having that little more organized structure. We also make sure that we have a proper team structure. Like, one person is not doing 4 jobs, because that is what spoils the health, mentally, physically, both the most. Because then you're doing one thing in the day, you're working on something else in the night, then the next day you are on set. So we try avoiding that. Like, our on-set dresser only does on-set and maybe handles action props. Then obviously now we've started having graphic designers separately with our assistant. We have art director, assistant art directors who only do sets. Then obviously set decorators, we have their assistants who handle the forwards. So this team structure we try to maintain. It doesn't always go with every project, because then obviously budgets and all of that come in. But we try doing it as much as we can. So I think that has also helped for us handling the team and everything quite a lot.
And also, since you are 2 of you who work together, so do you think it helps that you have a collaborator with you? It kind of also divides everything into then you have a loyal friend, a colleague, somebody like you have, both of you have each other's back. Do you think it makes a lot of difference?
Like me and Z know each other also since I think 2016. When I worked on Gentleman is when I met her. Then for a few years we didn't work together because we were assisting other people. But then we worked on Inside Edge together. We worked on Gulkanda together, Toothpari. Then that time we were like, she used to work as a set decorator. I used to work as an art director. And then we started taking our own projects. So even now, we do this, that, the set decoration part of the project, mostly she looks
Signage.
at the most of it, and designing, construction, art direction part of it I take it. Like that part of the team I handle. Obviously both of us, we know that if one person is not there, the other person can handle that part also. So there are times when if there is some sort of emergency or that we have to be somewhere else, so we do manage that. So you know, and having that person obviously helps, because you know that matlab, there is, otherwise there is always that constant stress that it's like you are not even allowed to fall sick.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't
And
happen. Like
and also I
Learn
think if
that.
you have a colleague with you or a partner with you, then in general, like, you know, automatically your worries and your stress and anxiety
and
is
then our working style also pretty much matches. Like we work in the similar manner, we deal with things in the similar manner. So there is not like those things, ki, "Arey, nahi," like there is that trust that is there, that we don't mind leaving things to the other person for some time. So that I think is very important. Like, but there are times obviously when, you know, one person is not available, the other person is handling things, but obviously yes, that having that person to rely on definitely helps.
And for you, Ritima, what is like when you are under high stress and when you are kind of, you have to deliver maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 deliverables at one time? How do you manage it? What is your formula for this? How do you do all of this?
I again take it as it honestly comes to me, but now I've learned I have been lucky actually, because recently I'm also working in films that have a lot of people, like having 15 people, 16 people, 20 people teams. So where I am doing just graphics, so I don't have to do other stuff or stay up the whole night. But when you have to, you know, you can't really, like if something is needed tomorrow, I have to stay up the night, get it printed overnight and give it on set. But I think before I used to kind of feel guilty if I'm not working in those hours that are set specific, like, you know, to work. But now I have started being like, take what you get. Like that's how I think I can keep up. Otherwise, I won't be able to keep up. And also I've developed my back hurts, my eye hurts. Everything is already there happening with my life. But yeah, it's a part of it. I think it's a part of our industry, kind of, to meet the stress levels also. And that's why most of the people, I remember my printer who had worked with other people before, him telling me on my first few days of Gully Boy that I don't think you'll be able to survive this. Like this is a few days, you're doing one project and then you'll be off and earning, you know, in a 9 to 5 job. And every time I go there and I'm just like, still here. So yeah, it's not everybody's kind of cup of tea. And like it's fine if you choose a life over this, but for us, I think it's also the passion that drives us. So this is life.
Yeah, but do you have any kind of like, really, no, I'm not going to do this, or no, any set rules or boundaries for yourself, or you're more fluid?
I mean, I kind of do say sometimes it's not possible to. I mean, it is mostly not possible. I'm not lying when I say that I can't design something and give it to you printed by. You know, if you give me tonight at 9, it can't come at 6 tomorrow. It doesn't work. So things that are not possible, I blatantly do say no to. Like I'm just like, okay, I can try what I can try, but this is not possible. But yeah, what's possible, I think I mostly do. I am with that way. That I've not had to, like in the recent in I think Zoya's films also, it's not like we were done 5 days before the set was she came for a set visit then. So that project was very fluid that way. I have not yet gotten to the shoot part of this film that I'm doing. And the smaller projects, like if I'm doing contemporary, the smaller Murder Mubarak, I just finished with Homi and Bindya. So these projects, there are stress levels that you have to meet every day. And that is then 1-2 months of full stress that you go ahead and you're just like there and you're not sleeping. You don't know what you're doing. So I've gone through those days, but I feel like I do like like I've told myself now that take what you get. Like right now, if I don't have too much pressure, I don't have to work 9 to 9 to meet up expectation. I can do this tomorrow and I can chill a little bit because later I won't be able to do that. So I kind of balance it out that way, basically. Somehow balance.
Do you feel like, as opposed to a 9 to 5 graphic design job or a freelance graphic designer and the cinema graphic designer, how is the remuneration part of it? Do you think that it is better paid than your regular graphic design job where you would be freelancing and maybe doing 5, 10 jobs to get like a reasonable pay package? You know, because graphic design, there are a lot of graphic designers too. Do you think cinema is well paid for the amount of work you do? Would you recommend graphic designers to come and join cinema?
Not for the remuneration part of it, because I, as usual, like I'm stating it again and again, like we are stating it again and again. I don't think a lot of people understand still. A lot of people don't require graphic design to that level in even in film. Like
Yeah,
if I call myself a senior graphic designer, maybe senior graphic designer is not required in a film. You know, every film you don't require, and that I understand. So yeah, job opportunities like that, I have been blessed to have constant jobs that I'm working on that also require me. But yeah, that way it is a bit difficult, and I hope people understand that this is a really important part of films, and they hire us for more remuneration in future. But it is a little difficult. I'm kind of paving my path as I go by, because this is also like production design is new, and this is the newest thing in production design, I feel. And now AI and everything coming in, I honestly don't know what's gonna happen. Yeah, but it's a good, like, if I always tell the graphic designers, you'll learn much more and you'll do much more here, and it's a quicker process. You'll get to know more things that interest you rather than doing a logo. And also, one thing that really drives me is this is forever. Like a company logo is going to change, but my film will stay in a portfolio somewhere in some platform, even after 100 years. At least I would.
And it's also kind of instant gratification, because what you do, you see it immediately, you know, because for a lot of jobs which are there in this world, you can keep working, but it's not really something which the public understands, or it's not something which you can be like, oh, I've done this. But with cinema, whatever you do, in whichever way you do it, in whichever department you do it, it's like instantly this is there. And like you said, it's a record, it's kept forever. You have your film in some library, in some festival library, in some archive forever. You know, it's kind of like that, mummified. And what about you, Uma? Why would you recommend this department to your fellow architects and other people, and why?
I mean, I do tell people that, you know, like ever since I started also, a lot of people have asked, you know, what is it like? Because architecture, for a fact, in India does not pay really well. So remuneration wise, it is definitely a much better, much quicker progress also. And actually, I think being an architect, doing production design and understanding it, it really helps. Like it gives you a very strong point even when you start off, because you have a very strong design and construction base that you come from. So it's actually much easier for somebody to understand production design if you have a architecture background. I always. But obviously, yes, people have their priorities. Like it's not, if somebody who can adjust to this kind of life, I would always suggest that, you know, they should try it, because it is a very different field. Like you said, it's a very quick gratification also, because working as an architect, we always work for 3-4 years for a project to come out. And, you know, there is a lot of process, lot of drawings, lot of all of that, BMC and all that goes. So all that is not there. Plus also, I think creativity wise, there is a lot more scope to do here. I mean, like we see things that are being built around us. It's almost like it's the same blocks that everybody makes now. We used to literally sit and play jigsaw and try to fit as more rooms we can, because the builder wants to sell the most. That is all they care about. Nobody, unless there is some iconic project that is happening, nobody's building something very different. And those projects don't happen every day. But then when we work on films over the years, I've realized I've worked on so many different kind of projects, so much different kind of sets we've built. And so that way, I would definitely say it's a much more interesting field to be part of. Just that if you are going to be a person who's like, oh no, I can't give this time. Oh no, I have to go back to family. I have to go do my vacations and all that. That does not happen, definitely. But otherwise, yes, I do tell people that it's a nice thing to try, definitely.
Okay, now my last question, because now we are running out of time, is do you think like social media in general has been helpful as a tool to promote yourself and your work? Do you use it often in general, like your social media? Say your Instagram for your because
Yeah.
before there was no concept of websites
Yeah.
or anything, there was just like
Yes.
a show reel. But now I think like with your social media happening and everything, do you think like it has changed? Do you integrate that in promoting your work in general, the whole social media revolution?
Yeah, definitely. We have our company's this thing, Instagram profile. We obviously all our work goes on it, every new release that comes out. So, obviously what happens is the platform gives you a lot more variety of people who get to see your work, because otherwise, because our industry does work on contacts, there is no other way. We
And because we don't have agents, no?
Yeah, we can't do
We don't have
LinkedIn
that.
jobs and all of that. So we do work on contacts. So the more people that you can reach, the more people who see your work is where you get more work from. And obviously, yes, social media has been a part of it. Now that we are working as production designers, we are obviously trying to reach more people.
Do you hire from social media as well? Do you hire people from your team from social media as well?
I don't think we've directly gotten, but when people send their CVs, people send their portfolios, we do check their work. People do send their Instagram profiles or websites and this and that, which we see. So I think it has helped in collaborating with other vendors and other professionals, yes, because now when we are building different kind of sets, when we are making assets, there are a lot of these 3D printers and a lot of VFX artists or concept designers so for them it helps us more, because then we can go check their work, we can check their websites, because otherwise we don't get they don't send their portfolios or CVs to us. But when we are looking for a new vendor, we obviously definitely go check their websites, we check their social media. We have a lot of these new now car manufacturers and all of that also, because we need to modify things, we get things done for action and all of that. For that, it has helped. I think there are more people that are working with the art department now. For that collaboration, it helps more. For hiring team, I don't think it's gotten that much yet. But yeah.
And do you think that you would like to have agents also, like how you have agents worldwide, where they represent professionals, technicians, basically? And that kind of, do you think like it's kind of a little important that Bombay also follows suit and you have agents? Do you be in favor of like an agent culture in India?
I mean, we could try it. I mean, the plus and minus, both of it. We've never thought of it actually, because it was never there. But I think we can try it.
Yeah. And what about you? Do you think like if you have an agent and who represents you as a graphic designer, then you're not just in cinema, then you also maybe work on installations, you work on like, I don't know, big fashion shows or things like that. Would you like that? Would you like the concept of agents rather than, always going through your phone book and okay, this person, people contacting you because with agents, what happens is then you're not really just doing cinema. They see what you can do and then they kind of find projects for you which are more varied, in the sense you can do more. So you think that is a culture which needs to come now in Bombay?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people also don't know each of us. Like I would have met you guys before if I had an agent, I think. So
exactly.
And we to work together. So that way, I think it would have really helped. I don't think people know enough about each of us. For us, like if a film is happening and there's a requirement of me, there's only a 50% chance that I'll get onto it because of whoever knows me through and through and through. But if there was an agent, and that would be a bigger database, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
to find the right-minded kind of projects, which you are seeing your
Yeah.
work and putting you in touch with the right kind of project. I think it's so important because now you have so many professional technicians
I
in
know.
Bombay, and the whole world is working on agents, but India still is on like, that contact.
Yeah,
That cold calling people, asking for work. And I mean, obviously that changes
messaging.
when you start
Yeah.
working more and people start getting to know your work.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
going to end with the last question. What are your projects now? What do we see of both you, Ritima, and Uma? What is next coming on streamers or on theatrical release? What is your next project?
There is definitely, like I said, there is Gulkanda Tales coming,
Yeah,
but
I look forward to that.
it's been going on, and like we are all looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's nice when it comes out.
Yeah.
And we've also done a web series, Humorously Yours, with TVF. That's also, I think, end of the year it will come out, like
Okay.
that.
And for you, you have your big release, Archie's, coming out, which I think is one of the biggest releases.
There's also Murder Mubarak coming out next year, which is by Humi Adajania.
Mm.
So those two projects, and now I'm working on Gandhi. Hopefully that will come out too next year.
Great. So it was lovely talking to all of you. Sarah has left, but both of you. But I hope you guys connect with each other. That's
Yes.
the whole point of the collective is also that you kind of connect with each other, build your network, just
Yeah.
be, kind of have these soundboards also to each other. And in general, if you're ever stuck in a situation, you have a fellow production designer in this
Yeah.
Yeah.
entire collective. Be members of PDC if you're not already. It's a very, very
Yes.
interesting collective. And
Okay.
even for the production design week, there are various events. There's one on graphic design also. You should check it out on, I think it's either in the masterclass if you go to the website. It's either in the
Okay.
masterclass or panel. They have an event specifically on graphic design.
Oh,
And
that's
in general, just check out that entire thing. All right. So it was lovely
Yes.
seeing all of you, meeting all of you. Thank you for your time and
Thank you so much.
bye. Have a lovely day.
Bye.